All right, all right. Well, Chandoo is here all the way from New Zealand, taking the live Excel Experts Challenge, and I am excited. And thank you for doing this.
Hey Oz, thank you so much for having me on this, and I'm excited too.
All
When you
right.
said I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, let's just see what this is.
Well,
I hope
you,
it's
yeah, you are gonna see. We're not doing hard challenges here, folks,
mm,
or way out challenges. I think that Chandu is one of those that's way out there, and so you know he'll get it. He'll get it. So
mm,
the idea is to just take us inside your mind, what you see, what you're thinking. So please go ahead, open the file, and share your screen.
happy
Ooh,
to do
there it
that.
is.
Okay, so you want me to identify palindromes, identify which entries are palindromes, a word or phrase that reads the same backward or forward, ignore spaces, capitalization, and punctuation, and note this is a one-time need.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest here. This
Okay.
is an interesting problem, and obviously anything that is a little bit odd from an English language perspective, because I'm not a native English language speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was growing up, I would hear these things like palindromes or you know
Anagram.
anagrams or alliterations and all of those. Those are the ones that made me curious about the language because oh, this is interesting. Because otherwise, the language itself is quite. Just to be honest, it's a really dull language compared to my mother tongue,
Mm.
which is quite rich and varied and quite clever and clear. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not demeaning English here, and this is not supposed to be the thing, but because I for the first almost 15 years of my life, I didn't speak any English. I only learned a little bit of English as part of the necessary schoolwork, but all my education, including like for example all the mathematics, science, everything I would learn in my own mother tongue. So my mind was anytime there is a problem, irrespective of what that problem is, it would always think in my native language first initially. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Later on, nowadays, all my thinking also happens in English. But like when I was reading lots of fiction and books and all sorts of stuff growing up, uh, palindromes were one of those things that I would be like, oh, this is an interesting word play or arrangement of letters that is
Mm-hmm.
curious. So I in fact many years ago I wrote a blog article. I'm just going to open this up
Right.
here.
And what
um,
was your mother tongue, or what is your mother tongue?
my mother tongue is Telugu. um, so it's one of the languages of India, and unlike English, the thing about English, this is the earliest memory of English for me. When I was learning the language, I didn't start learning English until I was like maybe 10 years old. And then I joined a school, and this is actually a boarding school. So I went to the boarding school, and then while there, we had our very first English lessons. So we had our English teacher, and he's a really great person, Mr. Srinivas, and he was teaching the basic words in English. So it's like mother, father, etc. Now you know how mother is spelled. It's Mother, but the pronunciation of that is the R is almost silent. You don't ever hear that. At least that's how he would teach it. This is because I mean American and UK pronunciations are slightly different, but India being one of the UK colonies at many years ago, with most of our pronunciation kind of derived from that. So he would say mother, father, and then I was like, where is this R going? If the R
Mm.
is not there, why would you take the trouble of even putting it there? Like, what is
Ah.
the validity of all of this? There is no reason behind this. You couldn't convince me that this is a valid reason, and that is fine. But you take words like walk, it has a L in there, but you
Right.
almost never hear anybody say walk. It's walk,
Right.
as if the L disappeared.
Right.
like,
Right.
and somebody who learns the language a little later, it's like impossible to understand. Hey, wait a sec, this doesn't make any sense. Whereas the Telugu language and many other Indian languages, for that matter, are the English has only 26 letters, but Telugu has almost 55 plus letters.
Wow.
So every sound that you can make with your mouth has its own letter or arrangement of letters. So if a letter is spelled out, a word is spelled out in a certain way, that is exactly how it is pronounced also. There is no concept of hidden words or anything like hidden letters or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
So, and then the grammar and everything is so much more varied and much more richly and logically developed, uh, so that you always it's kind of feels logical when you're learning. But for somebody coming from English to Telugu, they would say, "Oh my God, from 26, I'm going to this many symbols, and I need to now memorize all of this." For them, it feels the other way around. But
Right.
anyhow, I think this is kind of getting a little bit. So I was gonna show you
Okay.
yeah. So this is the palindromes one. Let's see the date on this. This will be fun to look at that. I think this is
Oh, you've
published.
done something like this already.
Yeah. This is actually one of the articles that initially, I think, we had one of the MVPs called Hui. He published this, but
Oh, yes. Yes.
there is one more palindrome. This is even older one, like palindrome check Excel formula. So August 12,
Oh.
2011, and
Oh.
I posted a homework problem with some of the and it does have a variation of what you are saying, which is remove the punctuation, but just remove the spaces. Not all punctuation, but yeah, if you want. I think even the punctuation is gone here, isn't it? Damn it, I'm mad. It checks to be a palindrome, and here I'm using some product because this is back in 2011. So what, 12 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to use similar approach, but we're going to veer towards some of the newer formulas and techniques in Excel.
All right. All right. So this is interesting, right? Because you have your own research to draw from if you had to. If this was some real thing, some client said, "Hey, can you fish out this palindromes?" You can go and pull up your own blog post, and there you go.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, that is part of. I mean, in this case, for you, me, or somebody like Bill, we would have a repository or a library of things that we can rely on, because either we have built that ourselves or we know it where that is. But for a random person on the street, they're looking at this and they need to check for palindrome. They would probably start by going to Google and searching, and then finding answers and going down the rabbit holes, sometimes hitting the wrong ones before finding the right one. It just so happened, because I'm writing and talking about Excel for almost 15 years now. So it just so happens that there are plenty of examples for most common things that I can draw from them. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try a couple of variations, just because we can then see what is the thing. Essentially, a palindrome is, like you have put here, a word or a phrase that reads same backward or forward. So one way is, if I can reverse this, then is the reversed thing same as the original thing? That's the question that we could ask. For example, Mike Kim here, if I reverse it, it should be Mike Kim again, assuming the space is not considered. So for example, I'm going to start with kayak because it's a simpler scenario where there is no spaces, no punctuations, nothing. And then we're going to see if that's what that is. So,
now that's pretty neat to start with an easy one just to get going.
Yeah, especially because I'm not really, I see punctuation is one thing, but you got all these emoji as well, whether they are considered punctuation or they are considered non-punctuation, and hence they should be part of The word
Right.
is
That's
something that I don't know. I mean, here I'm talking to you, but if I get this file from a client, I probably don't have the luxury of doing a live call with them all of the time. I'll have to
right.
make some assumptions and try
But
to.
yes, those
Yeah.
emojis are part
Ah,
of the
okay.
values.
Okay. Okay. So that's good to know. So that means emoji is the value, but the space and the dots and the question marks and exclamations and commas and those are not. All right. Let's do with kayak. So
Can you
one way,
move the box out of the way so we can
yeah.
really have a lot of rooms for when the dancing starts? All right.
Okay. Let's just put that. Ooh, doesn't want to go there. So here, um, my initial thinking would be, let me just get the reversed version itself as a text, and then I can do the comparison. So I have got a text in B6, and I need to reverse it. So that means I need to take letters in B6 and then flip them around. One way is I can start by thinking, how big is this? So that's 5 letters big. And then if I can then kind of use this with, let's just say, I know that this is 5. So if I say mid of, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is like an array, and then
Oh my.
essentially it'll give you one letter at a time because it's giving you those 5 things. So now what I want to do is, instead of that, if I flip this array here and then give 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm getting the letters in the reverse order. Right now this is kayak. If I put this as Chand, you'll see that it kind of flips
Oh,
the. Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. So let's go back here, and all we have to do is generate these numbers in the reverse order, and then they'll give you all the individual letters. So for this to happen, we can. So we got a function that can generate the numbers. So this is one of the newer things. So you can use sequence. If I
oh.
say sequence 5, I get all the 5 numbers. Now you can say sequence, and then this is one way to do it. You can say start from 5 and then step down by -1.
Oh gosh. What are you doing? Okay, okay.
Yeah. So this is one way, but this means I have to reuse the number 5 twice. So another option is we can say sequence 5 and then sort this in the descending order. So that also flips the list.
Yes.
Same as original sequence, but give the sequence, but in the upside down order. So one of these ways we can generate. So now the 5 is the len of my text. So I have that, but if I put something else here, depending on how big
Yes.
that is, this is gonna go up.
Mm-hmm.
Now all I have to do is take this and then feed it to the mid formula, start with that, and then get one letter at a time. That's going to give you reverse text. Again, kayak being a palindrome, it will look the same.
Right.
But if I try Oz here, I'll get so.
Right.
So now we can then send this to the concat function, which just combines everything into one word. And finally, all we want to do is check, is this guy same as that? We will get true here.
Wow.
Which makes B6 a palindrome. So this is the basic idea, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, what we want to do is we don't want to use B6 all the time. We want to use like a sanitized version of B6 that doesn't have either spaces or the punctuation. And this is a trickier problem than it sounds, at least. So we got our basic thing here. I'm just going to insert a column. And again, just to be simple, I mean, this formula in itself, if I read it in a spreadsheet that I got from somebody, I'll need to spend some time figuring out what it is doing, because it has got quite a few things nested into it. You have got concat, mid, sort, sequence, len. So 5 different functions used
Wow.
already, and then something else. So while we can hopefully come up with a very large function that does everything together, a better option would be break it down. So I'm gonna say cleaner word, or
Mm.
let's just say phrase. And the idea here is it will take out the spaces and other stuff from it. So this is again, it all depends, because it's a one-off thing. I'm gonna be a little lazy rather
Okay.
than overly engineer this. But
Fine.
if it is like an ongoing problem where, let's just say, you're paid to check for palindromes, then you probably want to build it out a bit more.
Right.
So, uh, like we could use something like substitute and then say space with nothing, and that will take out the space,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then while we are there, we might as well just lowercase this so that we will end up with this. The case doesn't matter. This will work until we have Mike Ekim, when then we have a dot. So then the question is, oh, we should take out the dot as well. And this is where, um, do we, how far are we ready to go? Because one option is we can do a substitution on top of substitution.
Oh.
Next time, take out the space, and then that will take out the space. But
Yes.
then pretty soon we are gonna come up with more symbols, like, you got exclamation here, comma there, question mark here. So at least I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, maybe at least three more types of separators in this data. But you do know that common punctuations like hyphen could be there, semicolon, or colon, and God knows what, some brackets and all of this.
Mhm.
All of these are possible as well in normal text that you see in fairly business situations. So if I want to do this, then my substitutions are gonna like nest one inside another, and it's gonna look quite ugly or unmaintainable. So this is where, there are other options that I would start to use. Again, still being lazy, not over engineering. So one other option is, instead of substitution, we could, for example, uh, use the text split function. Have you tried this? I'm pretty sure you have. So
I've used
this,
text
and
split.
then, yeah, and then where it says call delimiter, if I, for example, do like a space, it's going to split this at every space.
Mhm.
But what text split is designed to do is, you can give a bunch of delimiters. I can say space, comma, dot as two individual delimiters, and then that also splits the thing. So you can now have Mike E, the dot is gone, A, an extra space is there, this comes up, and then Kim. So
Right.
if I can give all of these guys here, uh, question
Question mark.
mark,
Yeah.
exclamation, and then let's just go with comma as well. We will end up with this here. And then instead of text splitting everything, we will then concatenate this. You will end up with a word,
Yes.
a phrase that doesn't have anything. So then I can drag this guy down
Oh. Oh.
and then test it out to see if it has done what it meant to do. Uh,
Wow. I'm amazed.
Okay. So at this point, the cleaner phase phrase is working, and except it's not lowercase. So I might as well just go ahead and lowercase this. And yeah, I'm surprised that it's working with these emoji as well. So the developers must have thought about all of these things. Sometimes what happens is, uh, again, uh, this is one of those things that my kids would almost not understand. But because I grew up in times where the the computers were not this, they are much older and a different era altogether. Like we didn't have colorful displays until a while ago. So,
Uh-huh.
so one of the things that I remember learning is that there is a code called ASCII code, which is used to store all these letters. So, and it can only store up to 256 character,
Hmm.
256 types of symbols. 256 being 2 to the power of 8. So each each letter is encoded with 1 byte or 8 bits. So we didn't have emoji growing up, and most of the functions and everything that you would do, they are also built to deal with only 256 variations. And then later on, we have got Unicode, which allows for like 16,000 or 64,000. I don't know what
Yeah.
the limit
And we've
is.
got
So
Unicode and
yeah.
we got
Mm.
Unichar now.
Yeah. So all
Mhm.
of those are things like, for example, the idea here is like my son or anybody who's born after 2000s, they're not familiar with the concept that computers could at one point actually store only certain letters and not symbols or
Mm,
variations of it. And
wow.
yeah, whereas for now we are just thinking everything is one character, but this is why I said I'm surprised that the developers had actually. All right, so now let's test if this guy works there, because what it was doing is it's reading here, and I want it to point to this thing here. So this is one of the things that I like when I edit the formulas. If I built the formula of B6, now everything needs to go to C, is I just edit the formula, place my mouse on the blue box, which is B6, and then just move it uh,
Mm,
one at a time until all the B6s have become C6.
wow. Wow. Yes.
And then let's move it up here. And okay, so the race car one is falsing. I thought that is an emoji as well, the palindrome as well. So we need to now see what is going on here, exactly why this is failing. But and then
Hmm.
this guy is failing as well. So one, uh, yeah, this should be a palindrome in my world. He lived as a devil. So this is fine. Do BC gold? Okay, so that's not a palindrome. And AM 9211G. Okay, so there's two ones. So this is not a palindrome anyway. Uh, Emil, yeah, so that's fine. So that one works fine. We'll put a title here. Okay, so let's figure out what is happening with this guy here. In this, so these are the only ones that I am noticing as wrong. So obviously this bit is race car. This is something that I like. They've added this, like if I select a portion of
Yes.
formula,
That's new.
it would show up the on the tooltip here. It's quite small. I wish we could make it bigger, but yeah, it is still better than manually doing. So I'm gonna select this bit here, and then let's just see what. Oh, this is coming up with those boxes again. So
Oh.
let's see what was the mid portion. Is it, mid is also returning boxes. So C7 is fine. But I think mid is not capable of doing this.
Ah,
I mean, this is the point where I'll give up and then say, is this even a real thing?
right,
Uh,
right, right, right.
because it's a one-time thing, isn't it? So let's just use this and then say, what is the one character here? So that one comes up all right as rocket, and then mid. So this comes up
Wow.
as, yeah, interesting, isn't it? So
Yes.
mid is not able to read the thing properly to extract the letter, that emoji directly. It's probably because the emoji is using 2 bytes instead of one, and race car R is using one. So imagine E1 will be still R, 2 1 is box. So even the len will be incorrect here. So that comes up as 11, even though race car is 7 and then those two symbols. So it should be 9 letters long, but this is
Mm,
coming up as len. I
we're
think there is
learning something
another
today.
function. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we can't use the mid function directly. We might be able to still use left to get one letter, but if I need the second letter, I can't use left uh, because that's going to give me those two.
Right.
Then I'll need to do like right of this and then one. And
Left
this
can
is,
peel it out, but mid can't.
yeah, so left seems to peel out things, mid can't. Must be one of those limitations with these functions, the way they're developed.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we can still do like right, left like this, but yeah, this is more like a hypothetical thing. So I would, being the lazy person that I am, I would simply say, I don't want to do this. This is
Okay.
fine. I'm happy with it. I'll never have to prove rocket, race car, rocket as palindrome because that's not even a
Right,
valid thing in the real world. It's valid in the spreadsheet world, but not in the real world.
right, right,
But
right,
if I'm getting paid to do it, then I'll start to use other solutions. But of course, you did say this is a one-time need. I mean, if it's a one-time need, seriously speaking, I would probably just eyeball and then say yes, no, and then
right,
be done
right,
with
right.
it.
I'm giving Chandoo the victory right now. Yes, there are a couple that did not show up as palindromes, but as we dug into the problem, we uncovered some things that neither one of us expected.
3, 2, 1, go. And a lot of times this kind of thing happens, right? When I'm cleaning data and I can get like 98% of it done. And then there's just the last 2%, we're down to maybe 3. Just do it. Just done. Manual.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, the reason why I went with this route is recently, coincidentally, I had to do something similar, not do palindromes,
Hmm.
but one of the government projects that I'm doing here involves looking at employees' job titles and then do comprehensive analysis and produce some outcomes. Now, one thing, funniest things with the job title kind of a thing is you could be doing the same job, but you might be, your job is called slightly differently. So, for example, uh, one person's job would be business analyst, spelled like this, and then another person's job would be business hyphen analyst.
Hmm.
They from an Excel's perspective, if I say is this guy equal to that, it says false. So I can't do lookups, I can't do anything because they're not same. But I
Right.
know that they are one and the same. So I need to get rid of these punctuations. And then it gets even more complicated. For example, you will have like a business analyst, and then 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that.
Hmm.
Some sort of a position number for that. And we
Right.
know that that number is irrelevant from an analysis perspective. It's just this. So I was actually doing pretty much this thing. I have job title, clean it once, then clean it again to remove some numbers, apply some business rules essentially.
Right.
Do this, do that, do this thing, but still maintain the thread so we can always connect the something else with the original data.
Right.
Uh, so that if things change, then we know, oh, this is done because that's how the original job title looked.
I really appreciate this. And we learned
Cool.
some stuff. This is
Yeah, yeah.
good. So I appreciate this. And this
Mm.
was a success. Yes.
Yay. Mm. Cool.
So how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel good. I think this is fun, kind of just talking through and building it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And yeah, yeah, I mean, as a person who uses Excel all the time, and as somebody who enjoys this, I like doing this. But the part of me where, as a person who is teaching others to do stuff
Mhm.
and who is trying to help others feel confident around technology, I'm always hesitant to build complex solutions simply because I feel like, oh man, this should not even be done, right?
Oh,
You should at least if somebody asks me, can you find for palindromes? Out of curiosity, yes, I will build. But if it's like a paid thing and then they show these emojis and other stuff to me, I'm going to say, yeah, please, I don't think I'm the right person for this job.
right, right,
Because I'm not,
right.
there is this, yeah, so I could still build it. It's just probably I would not teach others to build
Right.
it.
Right.
But
Right.
I would be keen to see what your audience feels like and
Yeah.
whether they, because irrespective of what formulas we are using and how I did it, there is still a lot of individual items that they can pick. Like, we discovered few interesting things, and using the text split with those arrays and all of that, that itself has a lot of value in it. Like, you
Definitely.
don't, yeah.
And
What do
the
you feel
thought
about it? You
process and
enjoy
the
it?
digging
Mm.
around to try to find
Mm.
out what's going on here.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And setting up the lookup arrays and using the curly
Mm.
brackets to set up arrays
Mm.
inside of formulas. It's pretty
Mm.
cool. But thank you for
Mm.
doing this.
Awesome. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. All right.
Mm.
And so where can people find you on the internet if they don't already know where to find you?
Best place would be, if you're already on YouTube, just search up Chandoo. You'll find my channel. And then, yeah, if you want to know more, you can also go to Google and search up Chandoo. Go to my website and learn more.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.